I want to show you a few quick tips to make Illustrator a little bit better for illustrators. So there's some presets that your program comes shipped with that suck, basically. So I use mostly the pencil tool. It's very organic, and if you're using a tablet, stylus, something like that, even a mouse, it's going to make drawing more effective. So to access these changes, what you want to do is double click on your tools. I have my tools set up. I'm using a Cintiq, so I don't like to go pinging back and forth from side to side. So I have all of my menus over on the right-hand side of my screen. Being right-handed, it makes sense. So I use the pencil tool almost exclusively, except if I'm doing very technical stuff, and then I'll use the pen tool because it's perfect for that. I'm going to go to reset here. So pencil tool options. I double click on the tool and that will pull up the pencil tool options. Now, this is how it normally ships. The fidelity is how sensitive it follows your hand, the marks that you're making, all right? I like to move mine down to one tick up. So it's not going to pick up every single little shake and movement of my hand. It's going to smooth things out a little bit, but not to any extent where I don't have control over my line work. Like I think if it's all the way down to 100% accurate, sometimes it just picks up things that I don't intend at all in my artwork. What I would suggest you do is to select fill new pencil strokes, deselect keep selected, because you just want to draw something and move on to the next thing. So keep selected is, I think, a silly thing for it to default to. Option key toggles the smooth tool. I really don't use that. You can play around with it. Close path when ends are within 15 pixels. Sure, that's not bad. You can play around with that. Edit selected paths. I turn this off because I don't want to draw over something and then have it activate a path. And I'm going to hit OK. All right. This should stay with your program once you close it down, but if those presets do not change or those settings don't change, you can always go back and that's where you find it. If you like using the paintbrush tool, again, I don't use the paintbrush tool very much. I find the pencil tool far better. I'm going to go back and reset this. And again, like the pencil tool, I'll take the fidelity and I'll drop it down one notch. Yes, I want to fill new brush strokes. No, I don't want selected, and no, I don't want to edit selected paths, and I'm going to hit OK. So there is the basic settings, and you can do, there's also an eraser tool. You can have different variables on, how you want to size your eraser, whether you want it pressure sensitive or whatever the case may be. I just leave everything at fixed whenever I need to use the pencil tool. I'll just hit OK. All right. So those are some basic settings. There's something else that is critically important. The appearance palette. The appearance palette tells you everything that is going on with an object or a layer. So all of the effects that are placed on it, the color, stroke, so on and so forth. And the shortcut icon for this is the circle with the little dots around it, appearance. And I'm going to open that up. I'm going to click these three bars to open up additional menu options. Most likely, you will see new art has basic appearance selected. What that means is every time you draw something new, it's probably going to default to a white fill and a black outline, which is completely stupid and annoying. All right, so I deselect that. So that means, if I am drawing with a pink fill and a black outline, I can draw this again and it's going to keep those features. So I don't have to go back and keep making the same fill or stroke that I wanted. So Command A will select everything. I'm going to select the delete and get rid of that. There's a few other things that I think are really helpful and can speed up your process with Adobe Illustrator, and that is using the graphic styles feature. So I am going to just draw a shape here, and I'm going to go up, I'm going to change the opacity, I'm going to drop that down to whatever. It's just not 100%, so it's 42%, doesn't matter what it is. And I'm going to make this multiply, okay? So now when I draw additional shapes, you can see that we have change in opacity and we've got a multiply feature happening, all right? Now, maybe I want to use this color, the opacity, the blending mode over and over again. This is where graphic styles is really cool. You know, if you want to change a color, all you need to do, or save a color, all you need to do is change an object and you can make a swatch. Okay, so here this was a circular shape and it's actually it actually made the pattern. Okay, so here I'm going to select that. That's how you make a swatch pattern. So that whole object, all I have to do is drag that and that becomes a pattern. But what if I just want the color and the blending mode? I'm going to delete this one. So here I have my pink and it's set to multiply. Graphic styles. Graphic styles doesn't necessarily save, it doesn't make a swatch, but it saves all of the attributes of an object. So I am going to drag this over here and notice it makes now a little pink box. What this has saved, it has saved my settings for opacity, blending mode, and color. Why do I like using this? Well, so now I can click on this and I can draw any shape and I'm still going to get my color and opacity. What I really like about this, maybe I just want to quickly shift a different color. I've got two steps I would need to change: opacity and color blending mode. What if I keep on using multiply and the same opacity? What's cool about using graphic styles is I can just click the color changes, but I still have everything working with my 42% opacity and set to multiply. So this makes drawing quickly, I think, really effective. I'm going to select all of that and hit delete. I want to talk to you about one more thing that can really, well, two more things that can really change how you think about using Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to pick a color here. Oops, wrong tool. Going back to my pencil tool, I'm just going to make a shape. I use Illustrator in a really painterly way. And how I do that is by using gradients. So what I will do is I will make a gradient with just one color. And depending on how intense I want it, I'm just going to leave this at 100% opacity on one side, and the other side I'm going to take my opacity down to 0. All right, I really like that. I'm going to drag that swatch from the little swatch preview over here, so I will have that over and over again. And now I can draw with a gradient. Now, if I put this on a radial gradient so that the most intense color opacity is in the center of my gradient, now I can create really interesting shading effects. Okay, I'm going to put my opacity on multiply. I'm going to leave it at 100. See how gorgeous this is? Now, I know I have that on multiply at 100%. Maybe I want to go back to that over and over again, so I can drag that to my graphic styles and always have that. So what I tend to do is have one just on white and one for black, you know, or whatever. I do a lot of animals in my artwork, so I might have different fur colors that I use a lot, browns, tans, so on and so forth. So that is a really nice way to make Illustrator not feel like Illustrator. And there's something else that I think is really not used as much as it should be, and that is special effects. So, Adobe Illustrator, just a plain, boring shape, all right? Special effects can be found somewhere up in Effect, and I'm going to scroll down to Stylize, and there are different effects here: drop shadow, feathers, inner glow, outer glow, rounded corners, and scroll. Okay, you can play around with these. What I think is really amazing is I use inner glow a lot. Okay, it allows me to begin to create a sense of volume and dimension with some of these flat shapes. I'm going to hit preview. I like using multiply. Again, you can play around with all these, but I want it to not feel like flat cut paper, okay? So I'm going to set this to multiply. I can pick a color. I'm going to pick a very dark value, okay? It's basically black. And I'm going to take my opacity up to 50%. I'm going to hit preview. Notice how that adds this kind of shadowed edge around an object. The blur will adjust how soft and how long it takes for that feathered edge, or not, I want to say feathered edge because that's another option, for that gradient to kind of spread across from the edge. Now, if I want things to be very subtle, I'll take the opacity down. I tend to always have it work from the edge, but you can also apply it towards the center. All right, so immediately changes the characteristic. So I'm going to go back up to here, and you can see, bringing the gradient over here. I have some presets that I use over and over again. Don't know if you can hear my dog crying in the other room because she hears me talking. Now this is pretty dramatic, but I am just doing some quick sculpting here. All right, so you can see how this can quickly change how you work with Adobe Illustrator. All right, so that is hopefully a few little tips that will expand your experience with Illustrator and allow you not hate it so much. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.